Hi, everybody. My name is Keely Honeywell, and I am the editor at RiverLit. Wow, I'm so excited to see all you people here and a little overwhelmed to see all of you out there and staring at me. So thank you all for coming tonight. When we started RiverLit 3 years ago, we barely had enough content to fill like 30 pages, and now we're here. It's really crazy. The magazine just keeps getting better and better, and a lot of that has to do with a good deal of the people in this room. So thank you for contributing all of your creative work. Thank you for reading it. Thank you for supporting it. It really means a lot to me. Thank you. Tonight, our show is called Anthology. It really is a literary variety show. We've got fiction and poetry and comedy and music. It's going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and get it started. So let me introduce to you RiverLit's 2014 Writer-in-Residence and your host tonight, Luke Baumgarten.
Thanks, guys. Thanks to RiverLit for making a writer-in-residence of a guy who's never been published in fiction before. I appreciate that a lot. I'm going to have to figure out how to get this thing. And I've got an iPad, so you know this is going to go well tonight. So thanks in advance for sitting through my first and probably last gig as an MC. It's probably going to get ugly. But you guys made it easier on yourselves because I said on Facebook, and so probably 5 of you saw it, that the more pre-sale tickets we sold, the less I'd talk. And it's impolite to talk about numbers, but we sold enough that I pretty much only feel comfortable pointing from this point out. So, and I just heard from Caleb at the back that we're at 72 right now paid, which is an amazing, amazing number of tickets. And it's even more amazing because anytime there's an event that's new and a little weird, and especially if it has anything to do with reading or writing, it's a huge risk. So give yourselves a round of applause for just supporting this sort of event in Spokane. It's a testament to the place that RiverLit has built in our community in a really short period of time, and a testament to the way that our community supports those things. I just went black for a second. So without further ado and without any more technical difficulties, hopefully, let me call our first writer to the stage. His name's Luke Rowe. He'll be reading Youth as an Instrument of Love, published in RiverLit number 12.
Jesus Christ, is this intimidating. Oh my God. Okay. The rotoscoped film strips whirring beneath your chest suggest that this is more than an illusion. I know that you harbor no lies beneath the paradise of your bosom or the miracle of fellatio, that within the diversity of your shades there is no tar. Your colors are the wet dreams that are not dreams at all, but the archetypes of true ecstasy and the extremism of happiness, while remaining untouched. Also, you are a creature startled by the gunfire that is your heartbeat, and smile to poems that make your name synonymous with beauty. You are a flickering ember in the glass uterus of a beer bottle, pregnant with the burned tips of rolled cigarettes, steaming in the frost of yellow moonlight. You're among the modicum I call my beloved, my electric blankets, when a junta of cold wind has stripped me of all that contains comfort. Thanks. So I just came out with a new chapbook. It's called The Cataract on the Mind, The Rug Burn on the Flower. And if you would like a copy, come see me after I'm done here embarrassing myself. This is a poem from that chapbook, and it's called Harriet in a Bottle. All is dark but for an ember. Faint gusts of fog slip into shade, incite a rebellion against darker tones. I have become enveloped with a natural camouflage that tucks me away from the eyes of the world, makes me like a poem, a secret hidden beneath a surface. My thoughts, intellect, speech, all secrets chained like animals to a backyard shed, silent but for the clanging of links when they begin to murmur amongst themselves. And the people are asleep in their warm luxury. The abyss of light within my skull is among such secrets. Reveals itself only in the form of a propaganda campaign no one cares to pay attention to. A great ideal ignored, a great ideal failed, dead in a field under the ladle, a lake of bullets spread like a sheet beneath it, and a slave song echoes between so many stars. Thank you.
All right, let's keep it moving. Next, welcome Cara Lorello, reading 2 poems, New Year, published in RiverLit 9, and Admission, published in RiverLit 11.
Okay. Thank you, Luke. This poem's called New Year. My fever peaked at 101, to the last tick of the old millennium. I spent the first 3 days of a new decade immobile in bed, avoiding white light January sun rays, slither across the floor of a stuffy basement den, morning, noon, until over, and then again. On the 4th day, I came up from what felt like a year-long nap, with pieces of holiday gala dry and crumbling off my face. The only trace left of its jubilation hung overhead in air-limp streamers and crushed party crowns, sparkling in belated greeting from the floor. The air didn't taste new, as the death ray light beyond the south window bore no effect beyond soreness of eye, numbingly rinsed away in seconds, along with the sleep-worn makeup and the sour taste of $2 Chardonnay. Thank you. And this one from RiverLit 11, it's called Admission. If I pull the cover of my lids to resist the burn of light, I'll open them a moment later to find you already left my side. The minute my laugh peaks, as breath becomes short, I can forget the needful things that forbade me to grin before. When the heart realizes what once was love is no longer alive, the reverie may be lost, but the hope for it survives. Thank you.
Our next reader, Bruce Holbert, is the author of the novel Lonesome Animals, an anthology of famous people talking about their favorite teachers, which he co-wrote with his wife, Holly. That was 2 different books. Sorry, I kind of stumbled over that. It was Lonesome Animals and an anthology of famous people. Although that might make a nice title for an anthology of famous people. Tonight he'll read an essay about his current novel, 25 Years in the Making, and the mentor who helped him write it. Bruce Holbert, everyone.
Thank you. I guess first I want to thank the Bartlett. What a great venue. And RiverLit. It's been a pleasure seeing the magazine grow and being able to contribute to it when I can, and also to it gives me an opportunity to see so many young writers honing their craft, which is, it's a real pleasure to be a part of that. I chose what I chose to read tonight because I have a novel coming out in July called The Hour of Lead. The title comes from an Emily Dickinson poem. And they asked me to write about a teacher because it was a teacher, one of my teachers in graduate school that kind of gave me the assignment that, started the book. And so my publicist asked me to write an essay that they could use to attach to galleys and things like that. And I thought, since there were so many young writers here who probably have gone through similar processes, that it would be the place to share it. It's called Grandson. In the late summer of 1988, at the end of a historic drought, I entered the University of Iowa Writers' Workshop. A tawny sky fastened to ochre earth, and the cooked yellow lawns and gardens slipped into one another like oils on a palette colored dry. I stepped on a snake walking to the bus. It seemed like a bad omen. My classmates' alma maters included Harvard, Cornell, Boston College, NYU, various liberal arts colleges who graduated the likes of Paul Newman. Some held graduate degrees in law, biology, or film. One was a practicing medical doctor, another the daughter of a famous poet who had grown up on the knee of the department head. My father operated a crane at a hydroelectric dam. My mother was a cocktail waitress. I graduated without distinction from Eastern Washington University, a school that was also without distinction for the most part back then. It's a lot better now. In fact, it's darn good now. Then had gone on to teach high school English in St. John, Washington, a town of 500 people. My first month in Iowa, a Yale doctoral visited. I remember staring at the poster in the department lounge a long while, starstruck. I'd read Welcome to Hard Times and felt a little giddy at the prospect of being in the same room with such a writer. 3 of my peers entered behind me, dressed in what was then the requisite black. One nodded toward me. He probably thinks a bullfighter has come to town. She said, El Doctoro. Another replied a little more loudly, don't worry, he will read in English. They were sophisticated intellectuals who spoke out against cruelty and injustice, and I was a rube they assumed reveled in such inequities. I learned to avoid the lounge and the department offices. However, I was compelled to attend class, and this proved opportunity enough for ridicule. Apparently, my peers had determined my brain reptilian and impervious to insult, and sharpened their wits on me as boy psychopaths spray gasoline onto frogs, then light them and call it science. This was not true of all, of course. The best writers turned out to be the most decent human beings. Strange and mad and fractured in ways I was and in ways I could not imagine. They bled language and encouraged me to do the same, and told me when I bled ugly and when I bled beautifully, until I began to recognize the difference between art and confession and craft and inspiration. My first workshop was led by Alan Gerganis, a curly-haired Southerner whose swooping blonde mustache seemed part Atticus Finch, part William Faulkner, part what came before, and part what would follow. First hour of class he spoke without rambling, without repetition, with the sincere humility of a perpetual student, the certitude and vehemence of a genius, and the open-hearted, irrational hope for his present company that exists only in the greatest teachers. Later, I presented a story that the group agreed had merit. Alan and a few others puffed on the sparks until I recognized what could kindle a blaze and what was already ashes. A few of my tormentors decided their influence had reformed me and ordered shots and beers all around. At the end of the semester, Alan met with each student in front of a fireplace in his rented house. He served tea and cookies and encouraged me, as he did each of us, I am sure, but separately, to follow our own arcs. He ended our conference with an assignment. Write 3 stories that occur in the same place, but the place is changed in each instance, and the change steers each character in each story. I grew up in the Grand Coulee, a scabland desert split by the Columbia River, both a symbol of nature and one of its demise, as by the time I was born, it had been rendered a series of reservoirs by several dams. The biggest, the Grand Coulee, larger than Hoover Dam in mass, loomed over my high school, a monstrous presence that provided work for 1,000 people. I put the assignment in a file for a year and it didn't enter my mind. Early fall, my second year of school, a story of mine was mowed down in class for many of the same reason my intellect and character had been assailed the year before. I determined to write nothing in which I had an emotional stake for that class again. I happened on Alan's assignment and thought, why the hell not? 2 sentences into the first story, I knew what would happen 200 pages later, and I knew all I had to do was keep typing to get there. That manuscript became The Hour of Lead, my current novel. It has morphed and cross-pollinated and grown and shrunk over the 25 years since. But Alan's recognition that my obsession with country, its geographical and cultural force, was married to my interest in people, and how their lives spun out in such places directed my work from then on. His advice was not a philosophy, which many writers espouse when they teach. Alan stitched his students to their art because he had the remarkable, almost incredible for an artist, generosity to see fiercely into their work, more fiercely than we could. And moreover, he saw what we might produce if we could keep the fires kindled and aimed us toward the end in the manner that allowed us to weather the long, cold winters that temper artists. I didn't publish a book until I was 53, 20-some years after Iowa, and weed out dilettantes until the work becomes the purpose of the work, not the impermanent passing weather of acceptance or rejection, praise or criticism, money or no money, prize or no prize. He is the grandfather of everything I write, and so many other writers count him as grandfather that we cannot be numbered. And like a grandfather, he has given us each a portion of himself that is ours alone, and supplied us with conviction enough to employ our wares toward our own passions. That's what faith is, really. Deciding such a thing is true and believing it. A lot like writing. Type a true word and trust another will follow until a story turns inevitable. Thank you.
And now for a musical interlude, I'd like to welcome the Rustics.
Hey guys, how's it going? We're really stoked to be here for such an awesome event and magazine, so I hope you like it. We're going to play a couple songs right now, and then we'll come back up and play a couple more. Take me away from all that I know, beyond the mountains where the rivers flow. Take me somewhere that I've never been, to cities full of love and cities full of sin. I wanna leave and feel free of these places. I wanna leave and feel free tonight. So dance with me on the northern shores. It doesn't matter that we've already been there before. And I wanna smell the wild, wild west. I wanna kiss the sun rising and see God's best. On the road in a van, just you and me, with nowhere to go and with nothing to see. We ain't got much, but that's alright. We'll sleep tonight. So take me away from all that I know, beyond the mountains where the rivers flow. Take me somewhere that I've never been, to cities full of love and cities full of sin. Just I and him, just him and I. In the desert in Texas with the stars in the sky. We ain't got much, but that's alright. We'll sleep alright. We'll sleep tonight. Thanks, guys. This next song is called In the Boxcar. It was written on a train.
You remember laughing on the train. In the boxcar we had to ourselves, when nobody is better company. And through the evergreens your light shines through. Well, nobody could affect me like you do. So hold me tight, I know we got it this time. No broken we stand, I don't mean it, so it's fine. But the only war we've been fighting is our own. The only war we've been fighting is our own. I'm a silent film you giving sound, and in the Portland rain we pass away. Oh, the spring has come again. Soon the morning frost will see us end. Well, nobody could affect me like you do. So hold me tight, I know we got it this time. No broken we stand, not a minute should fire. But the only war we've been fighting is our own. The only war we've been fighting is our own. We're the only war we've been fighting is our own. The only war we've been fighting is our own.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you up in a minute.
Have you guys been to the Broken Mic at Nito Burrito? Our next performer, he didn't really start it, but he really perfected it. And at 25, has done more, to kind of help the cause and create the community around performance poetry than anybody in Spokane probably ever has. So, Mark Anderson, everyone. Oh, and he gave me some notes a second ago about being an effective MC, and I think I'm already better. Don't you think? Am I good?
Thanks, Luke. Everyone else seemed to do poems that are actually in RiverLit, and I've been in RiverLit, but I wanted to do new things because that's what I like to do with my life. So I'm going to be performing a couple new poems. This first one doesn't have a title, so I can't introduce it like that. Dandelions are the best flower because they are the only flower made of wishes. Maybe you are a wish. Love is a good wish, a child's secret carried off by the wind. The child picks these tiny yellow deaths, arranges a bouquet for his mother who looks down at so many of them gathered at once and sees wishes she made when she was his size. Before she understood what it meant, that she will grow old and die. Then he will grow old and die. Then his children will grow old and die. And that is how their lives will unfold if we are so lucky. But hey, wishes turn into dandelions when they die. Did you know that? They reach up like tiny suns, grasping at the sky that is their birthright. Then the child transforms them into a symbol for love. Look, magic. One thing turns into another, and we don't know how or why, like his hands. At first, they can only grasp and release. They can only open and close. They can only give and take, transforming everything they touch. Holding up a shoebox containing the deceased body of the world's best hamster. The fountain of youth amassing like a militia on his cheeks, dripping single file to the ground where dandelions turn from yellow to white in a single night's whispered, but hey, this isn't about dandelions anymore, is it? This is about how every moment is a tiny death, and I can't get past that. This is the moment the child first learns how hands are imperfect mechanisms that cannot hold on to anything they love. They can't even hold on to that hamster. They can't catch it when it escapes their grasp, but he sits down and hears a tiny skull cracking beneath a chair, an ugly precursor to music, too small for the significance it carries, like his hands, holding up a shoebox made heavy by the knowledge of life and death, asking his mother to fix it. And when she inevitably can't, he looks up at her and says, "There is no mommy magic, is there?" The child gets bigger every time she looks at him. He turns into me. Look, magic. One thing turns into another, and we have to believe it's a good thing. I pick an old dandelion turned wise with age, whisper into its ear a question regarding loss. In response, it lets go of everything it has ever been. Looking at the bare stem, I am reminded of the virtue held in an open palm. Somewhere, right now, a child wishes for love. A child wishes to be young forever. A child wishes to be a superhero. The windsail seeds float to the ground and grow into another generation determined to burn like the sun. We are such brave ghosts, such brave wishes blowing in the wind. Thank you. I have one more poem, and this one also has to do with flora, so I hope you like plants in your poetry. If not, I'm sorry. I can't change that about myself. This is called Meditations on a Greyhound Bus. Tumbleweeds are stupid. They get sad rolling on and never becoming permanent for just one patch of earth. Geez. Revel in the letting go, sadness bush. Time can never go back either, so you're in good company, Mr. Eeyore Shrub. Riding the Greyhound bus system hung over is the precise opposite of sexual intercourse. My observations indicate that being hungover is correct social etiquette while riding Greyhound, which perplexes me. But at least I have good manners. The Greyhound flows in one direction, smelling of piss and shame, like time. Piss and shame are also connected to time in a linear fashion. I have traveled 25 years to be here with you, yet still, there are things about myself I can't explain to anyone. Not even my closest friends, because we don't fit nicely into words. I want to be home, but I want to keep traveling. I want to be everywhere at once. I want to be no one. I want to be every single one of you. I want to disappear. I want to be someone other than this person who wakes up hungover, crawling onto a Greyhound, wakes up despising his own heart for being a rock, not a rock slide, wakes up every morning determined to understand this life, to love every moment of it, but he keeps failing, watching a tumbleweed roll eternally away, but he is happy sometimes, is happy in the belly of a gray beast burning up in the sun. What's that knocking? It's a heart. Silly. Not a rock slide. It's shaking you awake. It's a heart, silly. Not an asphalt path to oblivion. Not a tumbleweed rolling on and on without meaning to sometimes. When a heart hurts, it hurts for your own good. It's your heart, silly. Stop apologizing for its existence. This is just a poem, silly. Not the end of your story. You are a person, silly. Every moment of your life is a beginning. Attention passengers, please gather all luggage and belongings before exiting the bus. Do not leave yourself behind. Thank you.
He's amazing, isn't he? One of the notes he gave me was to figure out how to adjust these mics, and I haven't figured it out yet. So I'm still kind of stooping. I'll figure it out, Mark. Our next poet has a way of making you laugh, and then after you stop laughing, you realize your heart broke a little bit. He also recently finished a novel in a little over 3 weeks, about 3 weeks after he emailed me telling me he would, and quite a bit faster than the 5 years it's taken me to write half of one. So to hell with that guy. Travis Knott, everybody.
There's a lot of eyeballs pointed this direction. The energy in this room is a true testament to what RiverLit has been able to capture in Spokane. So Keely, thank you very, very much for this event. I have 3 poems prepared tonight. The first one is out of my book. I am a backwards writer, sort of like Luke suggested, because I do big things first and then fight my way into small holes. And the big thing first was a collection of poems called the Virgin Journals. And the first thing most people notice about me is my disability. This is the poem out of that book that deals with it most. It's called When No One Is Around. I am alone for mere seconds before my body feels the urge to run. Based on an ancient fight or flight mechanism from generations long since past, forgotten in today's hectic society, but obviously longed for within me, as any feelings of loneliness are fought tooth and nail from the time when I was a small boy, riding in the back of the van at night, gently yelling to the front, "Mom?" And her reply carrying different tones based on the mood of the day, but always the same. "Yes, son." And my fears calmed again for the moment. Just checking. With that play repeating many times, changing forms over the years, but never truly falling by the wayside, morphing into panic attacks and tears around bedtime, waking up in the middle of the night and yelling louder, screaming at the top of my lungs. Please, somebody, come and help me, because I cannot help myself. So after I showed that poem to a friend of mine who's here tonight, she said, "You're lying. You help yourself all the time." And poetry is one of the ways that I help myself. It's the best way for me to get out of the brain, out of the real world, and to express some of my filth. And Keely was wonderful enough to print something that is not too dirty, and I believe it was issue number 7. But I also wrote this poem for a girl that'll be easy enough to see, and it's titled Coping Mechanism. I'm going to mentally massage the furrowed wrinkles of your brain, tense from stress, with a little verbal play that might get a bit more handsy than most would allow. As I feel you begin to loosen up, making yourself comfortable for a relaxing story, my fingers would tickle the parts of your mind that are both playful and excitable, sending messages out nerve endings like we were practicing on one another in person, allowing you choice of touch methodology, quick flicks of the wrist or soft, steady motion, working toward an outcome that would please me only after pleasing you, relieving the bit of stress physicality is capable of handling, better leaving you prepared to deal with the mental portion, which hopefully you forgot about over the last few moments, your mind taking my message in a literal and dirty way. So I wrote that poem for the girl, and she liked it a lot. But a couple months later, RiverLit was kind enough to publish the final story of that relationship in a poem that I will leave you with and say thank you again to all the performers from my side with a sadder poem called Handle with Care. Heartbreak, for me, works in reverse. Being physically broken, never having been comforted, means the pieces of my heart remain scattered. Seen freely by everyone, I show them, openly, on my sleeve, since hiding them would be pointless. Found easily enough by anyone who dared look. Not that anyone will, since over the course of my lifetime, a select few have cared enough to recognize that the pieces strewn about actually fit together into a puzzle called love, fragile, fearful of being dropped, damaging some corners so that no one could ever make them line up again. Thank you.
And at this time, I'd like to invite the Rustics back for a couple more songs. And I forgot to tell them ahead of time, so it's going to take a second. Sorry.
Hey guys, what's up? I went down to the devil to give him a piece of my soul, on my soul. I thought that by getting high, it would lead me home. Oh, well, it would lead me home. But it only left me feeling like I was never born. It only left my poor damn heart just feeling torn. And I thought that if I kissed your lips, I would feel young again. Well, I would feel young again. And I thought that if I ran away with you, I would feel your love again. Well, I would feel your love again. But you only left me with a bigger bruise. You only left my poor damn heart just feeling used. But that's okay, 'cause life goes on when it rolls along. They'll be singing when I'm gone. That life goes on when it rolls along. Yeah, it goes on. I went down to the river to lay my head in the sand, in the sand. It's here that I've realized, oh, the beauty of this land, the beauty of this land. Well, this earth carries all our broken down souls, and it leaves us with hope so that we can start again. 'Cause life goes on when it rolls along. They'll be singing when I'm gone. That life goes on when it rolls along. Yeah, it goes on. Lucas on the guitar, everybody. Lucas. 'Cause life goes on when it rolls along. They'll be singing when I'm gone. That life goes on. It rolls along. It goes on and on and on. Yeah, and on. Thanks, guys. This next song is called A Love Divine. troubles on me. Well, if you ever need a pick me up, well, love, you know where I will be. Just set me straight and sing me songs I've never heard. Oh, because your words are like a pick me up, and sometimes they're more than I deserve. Follow me into the sunrise, sunrise. Follow me inside my dark life. Follow me, you will realize that we share a life divine. Just take my hand. I won't ever let you down. Well, if you never plan on getting lost, then how do you plan on getting found? Just say with me, I'll be your navigator. Let's pretend we are two pirate mates and that we are never coming back. Oh, 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 oh. Follow me into the sunrise, sunrise. Follow me inside my dark life. Follow me, you will realize that we share a life divine. Follow me into the sunrise, sunrise. Follow me inside my dark life. Just follow me, you will realize that we share a life divine. Thanks, guys.
Oh, there we go. Figured it out. Got it. Got it. You might want to pick a shorter MC next time. So our next reader once beat me out for a job at the Inlander, and I've never forgiven him. And then in the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to read his bizarre, minutely detailed fiction, and I hate him even more now. Kevin Taylor, everyone.
I don't know what so bizarre and minutely detailed. But thank you all for coming out. This is such a cool event. It's so great to support RiverLit and the Bartlett at the same time. And you know, about a year ago, I was asked to read a poem at a fundraiser, and I followed Jess Walter, you know, and I'm like in the crowd with everybody else, just totally digging him, and he's like, he's so funny, he's so good, and then I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm next. So I thought nothing could be worse than that, but I have a little fragment of a story that has a song in it, so I'm going to sing, and following the Rustics, it's like, you know, man, they are so great. So this is a story, for years and years I've been interested in the idea of these Calvinist missionaries who came out here in like the late 1830s to minister to the Spokane Indians. And like the story goes, you know, it was Mary Walker and Elkanah Walker, and the story went that they left after 9 years without a single permanent convert. And I thought, these pansies, you know? I mean, they're preaching eternity. What's 9 years, you know? I mean, do they want instant gratification? So I imagined that they stayed. And so the guy in the story is, by my generational calculation, the 8th Elkanah Walker. He's in late middle age, and he is at the annual Labor Day powwow at Welpinit, where the Spokane tribe has done a really cool thing. They have this dance called the White Man Dance. And any like preacher, teacher, archaeologist, anthropologist, any sort of ist that wants to do something for the tribe, hairstylist, I don't know, can enter this dance. And after the dance is done, the winners are selected, and they can come up to the res and do their thing for the next year. So this is where we meet Elkanah Walker the 8th. The gate swings open, and the sweat-soaked men's grass dancers brush past Elkanah. Sweat-sheened, radiating heat, regalia swishing and rustling. Elkanah stares at each face as it looms in a distorted fisheye lens sort of way, into crisp focus for an instant, and then blurs and recedes. Here is a powerfully built man, eyes blazing from behind white grease paint, a thin red ochre line drawn under his eyes. Or the next, a jet black stripe from eyebrows to upper lip across his face, eyes shining from beneath. Here's a face framed by neon bright feathers, this face peering out from wolf and that one from bear. Here's one with vertical stripes in yellow and red. Last, a stern face, gaze direct and level, under a many-pointed crown of sage-grouse tail feathers, passing details of bead and bone and quill. These are my neighbors, suddenly and truly revealed to me by God, Elkanah thinks. He's struck to the core, and not for the first time, that for all these years, the Indians he sees every day in trousers or jeans or cargo shorts, the Indians in flannel shirts or polo shirts or heavy metal t-shirts, the Indians with iPhones and earbuds and plastic water bottles are the ghosts, the shells. He has been so blind. He is still so blind. Elkanah panics, and for an instant he wants to thrash against the current of bodies and flee. But the pull of the other white dancers draws him with gravitational majesty into the circle, the sacred eye of moccasin-smoothed brown dust. He considers his own regalia, an ironed white shirt, long-sleeved, buttoned at the collar and wrists, black trousers, a thin braided black belt, his dust-speckled black leather dress shoes. This year he wears no hat, and the fringe of coarse graying hair will not protect his bald pate from the sun, still high in mid-afternoon. He holds a fan of pocket-sized Bibles in his left hand, glued together to keep from shifting. They're fancy ones, tinted red at the edges of the page, the black pebbled leather of the cover stamped deeply with Holy Bible in a Gothic typeface, the cavities brushed with gilt. This is what he offers, the unadorned true word, Around his neck on a leather cord hangs a plain wooden cross that he himself has carved from a fragrant piece of olive wood, said to have come from a tree long ago planted in the holy soil near Jerusalem. "Here they come, folks. It's the charge of the White Brigade. We got 'em right where we want 'em," booms the voice of the powwow announcer, Matty Largebull. "Put on your sunglasses, everybody, or we'll all go blind." A wave of laughter rings out around the dancing ground as the white man dancers take up positions. Two skinny Indian girls up in the bleachers, in their jingle dresses, lean heads together, their shiny braids touching. One holds a hand stiff in front of her mouth and whispers sidelong to her friend, "This is the jiggle dance, hey." They both crack up. "Shimmikin drum has the song. Take it away, Shimmikin." In the southwest corner of the grounds, the 9 members of Shimmikin Drum lean forward in their folding chairs. They raise their long sticks, hold steady for an instant, and with a slight nod of readiness all around, crash down upon the stretched skin as the drum leader's voice rises to a high quaver in Old Salish. To the thunder of their drum, the group launches, 49er style, into this song. "I want to fuck a fatsuyape today, hey-ya, hey-hey. A fatsuyape to roll in the hay, hey-ya, hey-ay-ay. I want to fuck a fatsuyape today, fatsuyape take me all the way, way, hey-ya, hey." Elkanah loses track of the minutes and years and centuries as he slowly spirals earthwise, dipping his body to the beat. He holds the Bibles out like a shield in front of his breastbone as he bends his knees deeply, rocking first on his right leg, then on his left in a sort of shuffle dance. He holds the Bibles out bold and steady, and his gaze makes a stern demand. "Look upon the word and be saved, heathens." Dark moons of sweat appear under his arms and spread to meet each other across his chest. Nipples and chest hair beginning to shadow beneath the cotton shirt. "Mock me, scourge me, make my path a stony one," he chants under his breath. "This is the way of the Lord my God." He finds the strength to dance and dance. The sun, the song, the singers' wailing voices condense into a hum, and it is an angel-choired, coming of the mighty Lord hum, as if all the yellow jackets of creation are summoned by his deep and holy call. And as with Paul, venal and undeserving on the road to Damascus, the blinding light comes and smites Elkanah to the dust with a fiery fist. "Sunstroke," the tribal EMTs tell him, "wear a hat." "No hat will hide me from the all-seeing God, angered by my weakness." "That's crazy sunstroke talk," they say. They help him to some shade and leave him with a cool cloth on his forehead. Thank you so much.
So I don't even know how to describe the next thing we're going to do. It's a little weird. So I guess I should probably just better get out of the way. I guess Nick and Justin, you want to come up here? This is a stand-up, then improv, or maybe improvity, or maybe stand-prov. I'll let them explain it. Stand-prov, is that good? Okay, we'll stick with that one. I got a couple more options, but if you like that one, let's just do that.
Thank you. There we go. All right, so Nick, are you not up here? Okay. Well, hi, I'm Justin McNiff. I'm going to be... Yeah, Nick's from Blue Door. I do stand-up. I'm going to be monologuing, basically, and then these guys are going to improvise based off of my monologuing and do some scenes. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you guys to yell out suggestions for a topic for me to monologue on, basically. And I will go until you guys want me gone, and we will bring them up. I promise you'll like me for a little bit, at least. So go ahead and shout out some topics. No, I don't want to think about taxes. Something else. What was that? Construction and unicorns. Okay. I'll go with those. All right, so construction. I'm not a fan of it. It's loud. I live by the freeway. Well, I lived by the freeway. There was a lot of construction going on there, and construction brings hobos. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but any shelter that isn't finished will bring a hobo into it. I got to witness the glorious life cycle of a hobo, from when they hatch from their syringes by the skate park. I stepped on enough of them to know I'm doing my part, all right? But yeah, watch them, drink their first beer. I got to be there for that. I got to see a hobo drink their first beer. That's a magical thing, because not everyone starts off a good hobo. Like, if you see the little kids down by the mall who, like, their parents just kicked them out because they were tired of them, like, go out downtown for a day. They're just bumming for change, right? That's what a low-level hobo does. Now, an epic-level hobo, you can tell because most of their clothes have deteriorated. And they won't straight up ask you for change. They'll ask you for something to confuse you into revealing that you have change. This has happened to me on numerous times. Like, I've been walking by, and the guy's like, hey, man, do you have a thimble? And that results in me going, no, man, I only got 75 cents. Damn it! I actually was walking down, I had a muffin in my hand, and I got stopped by a guy who said, can I have that? And I didn't have a good reason to not give it to him, so I actually just politely got mugged by a hobo one time as well. That being said, hobos are very good about sharing their weed. I don't know how many times I've just been offered since I moved here to just smoke with a random stranger standing under a bridge. I usually go under bridges looking for random strangers to give me weed. So, let's see. Unicorns was the other topic, yes? I hate Charlie the Unicorn. That was the start of the internet going downhill for me. It's like the original meme. It's really annoying, especially if you have any of those like friends in high school. Most of you probably don't remember this. But the kids really into like Japanese animation. All the anime stuff. They love stupid shit like that. And it's really hard to get them to shut up about it. And so I'm going to shut up, though, because I think I've been going for about a minute. Yeah? So you guys got some stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, Nick and his friends.
Maybe.
No, but what do you mean, mate? Either you have it or you don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I need $20.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Jen, did you get the $20 from this guy yet?
I don't know. He's taking forever. I don't even know we got $20.
Look,
You got $20?
You're under our bridge.
Yeah.
Let's see the cash.
Oh, all right. I didn't realize that there was a under the bridge fee. What is this?
The fee of the bridge?
Everybody thinks they can come and stand under our bridge for free. No.
Son,
Next, you're gonna be wanting to smoke our weed. Wow, you're privileged.
You want to join?
I'm just waiting for the bus. But I mean, if this is
Oh,
then I could
fancy the bus.
Oh, moving into the public transportation, okay?
What do you do? What do you do, sir? What do you do?
Tax software.
Tax software.
So give us $20. You steal people's taxes.
Okay, I only have a one. I only have a one. Okay?
Did you have to get like circumcised for that? Is that part of like
Another 50 thimbles. Here you go, another 50 thimbles. I'll be back.
See? The generous people of Spokane, he gave us thimbles.
There we go.
He knows what a bridge tax is.
Well, I didn't know you guys were accepting thimbles. Holy shit. I mean,
Kyle!
Oh, yeah.
Kyle!
Yeah, man. What's up?
I'm trying to make a meme.
Oh, yeah?
White man dancing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because this looks a lot like how you just normally dance, so I just wasn't sure.
And I'm white.
I
Meme it. Do your memes. Meme me up, buddy.
Okay. Hey, am I too late for the meme?
You're right on time, pal.
Yeah! No, get with him. Oh. All right. We're gonna jiff this.
Oh, let's jip it. Let's jip it.
Yeah. All right.
Wait, bring it down.
Oh, down.
Yeah. Okay, I'm stuck now.
Yeah.
Kyle.
There you go. No, hey,
Kyle, help me. Okay.
Oh.
Bringing it back.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey guys, am I too late for the meet?
Oh! Funny. So how have you been?
Oh yeah, real good now, real good.
I'm fine too.
Great.
Yeah.
Boy.
I'll just stand over here.
Just having a lunch break, huh? Look at us all having lunch together.
Oh yeah.
On
Yeah,
accident.
real nice now, real nice.
I was thinking about getting the 3 entree.
Oh,
because I
big
like the orange chicken. I also like the sweet fire beef.
Oh.
So I thought if we got both of them, I would be happy. And then a third thing, just for later.
That's so spicy. That's so spicy.
Wow. Anyway, if you guys could give me all your money, that'd be great.
I usually.
I feel like I'm being pretty reasonable about it.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
We're friends, and I've got a knife, so.
Yeah. No. Well, the thing is, I only carry my debit card, so.
Do you take Square? Do you take Square?
I do. Oh my. Yeah, that's new actually. Yeah, I started using Square. Hold on. If you could just.
Do you want me to hold that for you?
Oh no, I want to do.
Oh, back up.
Oh. I was just trying to be helpful,
Yeah, just like there. And I mean, you don't have to tip, but I would appreciate it if you did.
Do we just?
Yeah. Right there.
Bonk.
Now you have to
Cool.
swipe.
Cool beans.
Okay.
Well, I only have a flip phone, so.
Lame.
I don't feel like that needs judgment. I mean, some people don't like those smartphones. You guys might get that cancer, cancer-free over here. So.
You're telling me I'm gonna get cancer because I've got a smartphone.
Well, because like the rays off of like the screen or something,
Oh, the rays. You sound like a scientist. Great. Thanks for that.
I read articles, okay?
I will. I would expect something from you aside from fallacious information at this point. If you could just brought your card, please.
Well, I have. Oh, you accept debit cards, do you?
I do, yeah. Or the
Okay,
Square.
yeah.
We're talking about Square. That'd be
Okay.
great. Oh, thank you so much. Wow.
What does it do? Do I slide
You
it?
slide it. You slide it, or just make a boop noise near it. We did that earlier. So.
Worked for me.
Yeah. Great.
Could you not take everything out of checking though? Because I've got a bill coming through.
Oh no, I can leave a little bit for you. Yeah.
Thanks. I think it's like $79.94. So.
All right, and I'm okay. And this is I'm overextending myself a bit here. I'll admit, but if you could just leave me a good Yelp review.
Oh yeah. You betcha.
I'm under.
Hey, kid. You look like you got some hobo potential. Okay. I'm glad you're so excited about this too. What I want to do is I want to teach you about the life cycle of the hobo.
I didn't know what a life cycle is, but it sounds so fun.
I can show you things you've never seen before.
Ooh.
First, we'll start you out as level 1, tier 1 of hobo-ness.
Ooh, so fun.
And then after a few boxcars, some dandelion blowing, some weeds, we get you up to a higher level. Actually, you want to see a professional? There's my friend Tony over there. Tony!
Where's the Tony? I want to meet the Tony.
You better watch out.
Did your parents leave you a Mobius? That's how I got here.
I didn't know my mom said be gone for 27 minutes.
I was left on the giant slide. I just kept going on it.
Yeah.
No one came back for me.
I like the giant slide too.
We all like the giant slide.
Yeah, because it's rules.
Now,
You got spunk, kid. I like it.
the first thing you're going to have to do is give us all your monies.
Okay, I have $9.
All right. That's more than I make in a year. Great job.
Now what do I like Uncle
Now
Tony?
I need you to smoke my weed.
I know. You just put it in your mouth.
Well.
I could have been wrong with this one, Tom.
It burns a little bit when it goes inside, but I like it.
All right, that's our set. Thanks, everybody.
right, so it might even get weirder. I don't know. Would the poet laureate come to the stage, please? Poet laureate, Tom Caraway, please. So Spokane's inaugural poet laureate is. Sorry. Is that working? Yeah. How's that been for you?
Sweet.
Is there any pressure being the inaugural poet laureate of Spokane?
No.
And in your capacity as poet laureate today, you are coming here to advocate for crappy poetry. Can you explain crappy poetry to us? Bad poetry?
Those are two different things.
Okay, well then, elucidate me.
I was going to do this in the form of a song, but I'm not going to. There's enough good of everything going on here that bad poetry coupled with bad singing would really bring things to dangerous levels. Bad poetry is a thing that I invented. It didn't exist before. But some friends of mine who are also poets, and in real answer to Luke's question about being poet laureate, we were all very used to operating in absolute isolation and a certain kind of spiritual poverty in which nobody recognized that we were poets or even writers. We got together, as we sometimes do, poets, and decided that maybe part of the problem is that we're taking ourselves way too seriously. And I think poets have a tendency to do this because they're involved in pretty serious stuff. I mean, most poets, myself included, maybe primarily, if you've read my poetry, you might have the same response my grandma did when my first book came out. She called me up and said, "Honey, I got your book in the mail. It's really nice. Are you okay?" And then she asked me why it didn't rhyme. So we thought, okay, nobody's really recognizing our efforts as poets. We've got all this alcohol. Let's do bad poetry. That's pretty much what we're doing anyway. And it turns out that good, bad poetry is much harder than bad, good poetry. I'm really good at bad, good poetry, and you can be too. I can teach you about it. In fact, if you're good enough at bad, good poetry, the city will pay you to stand here and tell you about it as the poet laureate. All kinds of comedy tonight. So bad poetry is something that we've been doing for a little while now. There's a little tradition behind it. Some of it's better at being bad, good, bad poetry. Anyway, I don't know how to explain it except through a couple examples. So this is from the book, my sister. When you're a poet, people don't know what to get you for Christmas. So my sister got me B is for bad poetry. She's very clever. It's my older sister. She didn't know it was going to have this effect on me. She thought it would just be another insult in a lifetime of insults. But this book is fantastic. It's very good at bad poetry. This is an example of the kinds of things that we want our contestants to strive for. Right? We've got 4 contestants here. I'm about to introduce them and give them their assignments. And they're going to, in the space of the rest of the show, write bad poems. And then we have a panel of judges over here that are going to, as we all do, judge them. And then they're going to receive really, really bad, good, bad poetry awards. The forgotten art of mincing words. Oh, good, you're back. Did you get the sausage, like I asked? The spicy Polish kielbasa, you forgot it? How could you? All I wanted was some damn sausage. And I don't think I'm asking much here. I even gave you a note. It said, don't forget the sausage. And you forgot the sausage. This is so typical of you. This is unforgivable. This is, what I'm trying to say is, I'm in love with you. So one of the characteristics of good, bad poetry is, I said one, didn't I, in that sentence? Jeff, check me on that. Yes? Dang it. I'm going to retract that sentence. Some of the things about good, bad poetry include the reveling in cliched language, right? Poets, thanks to Pound, that asshole, said, make it new. We have to be fresh and like using interesting language all the time. Bad poetry? Nah. Right? And also another characteristic of bad poetry is you have these rabbit holes that the poem will go down. They don't go anywhere, right? Like in good poetry, those rabbit holes, like they show up like a wormhole in Star Trek, right? And it comes out the other end and you're like, oh my God, yes, that, the whole time. Good bad poetry, don't have to do that. Okay, so this is another example, and then I'm going to introduce our bad poets. Epitaph on a Hare. Sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between good, bad poetry and James Tate. If you know James Tate, you know what I'm talking about here. He's got a poem, Young Man with a Ham. That's what it's about. It's about a young man with a ham, and he's running down the street with a ham, and then a dude tackles him and takes the ham. And the last line of the poem is, clearly, it's his ham now. James Tate is carrying out the most sophisticated experiment in human behavior modification ever constructed. Anyway, this is called Epitaph on a Hare. Here lies at the end of the drain a gray lock of hair dyed red. I'll never quite know of its pain while tearing it from my head. Rhyme. Now it clings to the tub for life, dancing a watery jig, never again to be combed or styled unless it ends up in a wig. If it's truly bad, no, dang it. If it's truly good, bad poetry, the poem ends, and like a good poem, you go, yeah. Okay, I think I should be clapping now. Our judges for bad poetry are sitting right over here. They are Aaron Whiter, Trevor Sullivan, and Anna Lee. Anna Lee just got off a plane from Baltimore just to be here. She's a little loopy from time. Trevor Sullivan is a graphic designer and works at the Quinn Group and is an independent filmmaker currently shooting a zombie love story called Love is Dead. That's not a joke. He's really making it. It's awesome. Aaron Whiter is sitting in the corner right there. Our contestants. Our contestants include Catherine Smith, who is the master of at least two things, fine arts, namely poetry and gardening, and those things are both true. Sometimes Kat calls me and asks, what do I do if my chicken lays an egg, but there's no shell? Don't let her calm look and demeanor fool you. She will tear this place down with her bare hands. Our second contestant is Joseph Hager, who has been chained for the last 3.5 months to a diaper pail where he's been looking after his brand new son, Abraham Edwin Hager. Is that a badass name? Joseph is the co-host of Extremist Movie Debates, which you can find on Facebook and Podomatic. They are excellent debates in which he and partner Ethan, oh my God, don't tell Ethan I called him Evan. Oh my God. They debate. One of them loves a movie, one of them hates a movie. It doesn't matter what the movie is, and they yell about it for a very long time, and it's very funny. Our third contestant is Jeffrey Glenn Dodd, who once ran at me with a chainsaw, and that's when I knew that we would be friends for a very long time. And so far we have been. our fourth contestant is Kelly Crawford, and she is happy to be here. Contestants, please come to the stage. They will now draw titles. And based on these titles and words that I will solicit from you, they will write, that is hot, bad poems based on these titles. You, sir. Yeah.
The parking attendant's daughter.
Catherine. Into the microphone, please. Hey, you wrote this.
I already wrote a poem about this.
Ooh, draw again.
Sasquatch Radio.
Sasquatch Radio. Joseph.
Rapture, we hardly knew ya.
And Kelly.
The Sharknado of Love.
I was so hoping that one would get drawn. We now need 5 words that have to appear in each of these 4 poems. 5. The judges will write them down. Jello. Belly button. We have jelly, belly button, and circus. Rib cage and Ferris. Ferris wheel is 2 words. Ooh. Let's change that to ferret. So we have Jello. Oh my God. What? Rib cage? Belly button?
I wrote them down.
Nice.
Belly button, circus, rib cage.
Jello, belly button, circus, rib cage, ferret. They will now go compose bad poems for you.
All right, so it's gonna get a little less weird for a while, and then it'll get weird again later, I promise. But I'm not gonna tell you when. That's all the heads up I'm gonna give you. The first time I ever read Brooke Mattson read a poem, she started crying a little while introducing it and talking about the person it was written for. By the time the poem was over, I think everyone was crying. She writes a lot about people, often children at the margins, the places most of us can't bear to look. Please welcome Brooke Mattson.
It's a pleasure to be here. I am a teacher. I teach high school. And therefore, I need extensive therapy. And so one of the ways that I deal with my job is I write about it, as Luke said. So I have a couple poems about students and then one that's not. So this is called Crossing, A Boy in His Room. The lightning paints skeletons on the walls of his room, streaming through the open door and into the dark hallway where their ghostly shapes bend into corners and disappear. The boy waits for his mother to wake him. From her room where she lies sleeping, he waits, listening to the storm oscillate between despair and possibility, waits between his 2 selves, the quiet boy and the man his father tells him to be, the sexual collision between his dreams, blurring the line. But his mother's voice does not surface between the groans of thunder, so he sits by the window, watching rain shatter the blooms of the columbine. Each time the light fills his face, the reflection in the glass is different than the face before. He hardly knows himself since the word divorce split his head in half, left him roaming between past and present like a fox whose den has been burned. He stares at his hands, disappearing and appearing. Like rain down the glass, he is slipping into the bottomless well of thunder. It fills his throat like a flood. He is alone in the house. The boy knows now, and the dazzling hands of light are reaching for him. This is called, this next one is called Wild Grapes. Real dragons know when to kung pao, says the sign on the curb, where I've driven you home the past 2 days. Only today, you are not working through a post-traumatic episode in the passenger seat. In fact, you're smiling, chattering with childlike expressions at random things that amuse you. An inflatable cat in someone's yard, a rare breed of grapes you found on a fence near the school. They were fair game, you said, because they grew outside the fence. No one wanted them anyway. How your friend got a job, how she'll keep this one, you think, because 50-year-old men won't hit on her anymore. You say this while popping the tiny grapes into your mouth and spitting the seeds out the window. Hey, not in the school van, I say. You tell me you'd live in a motel if it meant getting out of the house where I drop you off. As you trot merrily away with your backpack, the one with the broken strap, in which you keep everything you own and always have in case you have to run, I pray your father is not drunk tonight. Even so, a little seed of worry sprouts as I drive past the fence where wild grapes are bleeding into the street. Thank you. As part of teaching at the dynamic program that I do, I get to keep students for multiple years. And I had that student for 4 years, and I cried at her graduation. Like, I'm not talking little tears. I was, like, sobbing. It was pretty embarrassing. The Water Lily is the last poem I'm going to read. Like a clear word, you open perfectly a many-sided, beautiful wound, like the water lily rising from the stillness of a summer afternoon, breaking the surface of grief with a supple neck and tearful mouth. You rise from the depths of memory, and my defense splits gently with the clouds. My love for you will not fade, you wrote, and left the words to stand beside such a flower as this until I found them in the moonlight and smiled. Now, beneath the fractured sky, the crooked letters stand and lean into the wind before slipping beneath the water again, the leaves spinning gently as if you'd never been. Thank you.
Once again, the Rustics.
We're going to have our guitarist, Lucas. His name is Lucas Brown. He's going to sing a song for you right now.
It's not very often that I come out to events in down Spokane and get brought almost to tears multiple times. So I mean that seriously. Bear with me, sorry. I'm gonna call that good enough for folk music. This song is called, well, this song's about words.
I'm trading all my troubles for the traveling day. This winding highway seemed like the only escape. Wisdom of the road, take my worries away. Wisdom of the road, take my worries away. Words can be bigger than the wordsmith or the bookworm. Nights can be longer than we would ever tell. I took those words, I brought them down off the shelf in the back of my head, where the rain falls down. In the back of my head, the rain is coming down. And my oh my, she rose like the sea, and it's only the salt between her and me. I can taste the salt, honey, so don't lie to me. Words can be useless, empty like the ice box, colder than the black moon and dark in the lights. She could be a traitor, a lover or a painter, honey. Show me a sunset, I'll never know. Just show me somewhere I never thought I'd go. There's no time to sit around and talk about my problems. I'm trading all my troubles for the traveling days. Love can be a lesson, a blessing or a weapon. Heart of the hitcher man, take me away. Spirit of the sailor, come lead us astray. One day I'll find you, my needle in the hay. One day I'll find you, my needle in the hay.
All right, we got like 2 more songs I think for you guys. Thank you for hanging in there with us. I'm so glad to be able to even be here. It's an awesome night.
Hey, can you turn this guitar up just a bit in my monitor? So this song I wrote, it was probably the most special song I got. I wrote this for my pops. He's been pretty sick for a while now. So I call this song a song for Pops. Well, my father told me, son, if I die now, won't you bury me in the site where I last showed you? He said I can't wait to meet my maker someday. And when I'm gone, keep your mother and your sister safe. He said you only got one life, oh, so make it what you will. But you got to stop kicking rocks, wasting all your time on filthy habits. And I had that thinking there must be a little in over my head, over my head. I said, 24, I wish I could take some of your pain. And he said, son, for you I wish I could do the same. But don't forget what your mother and I have always taught you. Keep your chin up, 'cause life's full of ups and downs. And I had to thinking there must be a little in over my head. He said, hold your head up high. He said, hold your head up. He said, hold your head up high. He said, hold your head up. He said, hold your head up.
Thanks, guys. This is actually, I was thinking about it, it's like our first show as a band together ever. So we're so excited that it's here at the Bartlett. This place is awesome.
Yeah, let's give it up for the Bartlett. This place
Yeah,
rocks.
This place is cool. All right, this last song is called Be Here Now.
Well, our shadows flow like ocean waves. They go up and down, but you know we're both the same. Made the same.
When I see in your eyes the way you carry all of your shame, we all feel pain.
Well, the world spins around, so many places we can go. And though it may seem upside down, this place is open road. And all I can do is be here now. All I can do is be here now.
From the river's edge to the tallest trees, we are all alive. We all breathe. We breathe. Open up your mind and face the fact that we all should live free to feel peace.
Well, the world spins around, so many places we can go. Though it may seem upside down, let's face this open road. And all I can do is be here now. Oh, all I can do is be here now.
Thank you, guys.
All right, as they're tearing down, can we get Spokane's newest, I guess, soon-to-be published novelist to come up here, please? Sharma Shields. Everyone. So, just like 2 days ago, she was already on the docket, and then out of the blue, she sells a novel, right?
It's sold.
Sold.
Sold on Wednesday.
What's it called?
It's called The Humanoids, but it is about a Sasquatch, and I'm thinking of changing it to Sasquatch Radio.
Yeah, that's pretty, yeah. So, and you sold it to a relatively reputable publishing house, did you not?
Holt. Henry Holt.
Henry Holt. Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
What are you reading tonight?
I'm reading a short story that I wrote for this occasion called Red Letter Day.
I'll let you get to it.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Luke. And thank you to Keeley. Wow, this light's great. Thank you to Keeley and to RiverLit, and thank you to all of you guys for supporting Spokane Arts. This is a really badass event. And dude, Rustics, first time ever together? It's crazy. They're amazing. Wow, cool. Okay, so Red Letter Day. We're grading husbands today. We finished the first round early, the catwalk. The men strut and pose in their underwear. Randall, the paunchy and leering, gets an F. Goober receives a C, mostly for effort. Jonathan, a tan hottie with solid pecs, gets an A, but gloats about it to Randall and is downgraded to a D. Harper, my husband, garners a solid B, which he graciously accepts, so we upgrade him to an A. The men get dressed. We head for the snake pit. Mrs. Goober is pissed. Harper got an A, she complains. 2 words, ladies, skid marks. That's not his fault, argues Mrs. Jonathan. She's the prettiest and happiest of our lot, the one who complains the least. It's pure biology. Olestra, suggests Mrs. Randall. Mrs. Randall is our plainest and most unfortunate friend. Her husband walks before us, all animated, telling the men about an intimate evening he once spent with a hamster and a prostitute. To his right walks Harper, visibly wincing. Goober asks, a prostitute, really? What are they like? And Jonathan is arguing loudly for the sanctity of marriage in the house of the Lord. Where did you find this guy, Mrs. Goober asked Mrs. Jonathan. He's too hot to be so moral. Mrs. Jonathan blushes proudly and shrugs, as modest as she is happy. At the snake pit, Harper comes over to me and draws me aside. I don't want to do this, he says. You're doing great, I tell him. You're winning. It's humiliating, he continues. I've never liked snakes, you know. They bite. Even worse, they piss all over the place. These are my best friends, I tell him, gesturing at the women. I don't hear their husbands complaining. Goober's complaining, Harper says. Yeah, well, Goober, he's always complaining. My husband admits this is true. We'll go to that Chinese place he offers. We'll have some wine. I promise we'll leave soon, I say, after the obstacle course, after the IQ test, the second they've announced the winner. This whole thing started a few weeks ago at one of our monthly girl luncheons. I was having a weird day. I started sobbing and hiccuping so loudly that the waiter came to our table to offer me a chamomile tea and a hug. My friends waved him away and urged me to explain myself. Was I sick? Was I depressed? Was it my job at the cell phone kiosk? Was it Harper? But it wasn't any of those things. It was just the sight of my pink ball of sorbet melting silently away in my white dinner dish. It looked like a tiny child's heart, eaten slowly away by the world. I was crying for that child, for the heart she was losing right in front of my face. I'd swallowed some of that heart, I told them. I felt it cooling in my stomach, and did that mean I was some sort of monster? My friends blinked at me. It means you need more wine, said Mrs. Goober. Mrs. Jonathan said, when is Harper going to get you pregos? Mrs. Randall eyed my bowl lustily. I'll eat that if you don't, she offered. I pushed the child's heart toward her, and she gobbled it down on the spot. It made me feel better, really, that she ate it with such gusto. This is what friendship is, maybe, a spreading around of life's difficulties. I handed her a napkin so she could wipe her face. Give and take, as they say. Don't we all feel better, gushed Mrs. Jonathan, and I had to admit I was much improved. So when my friends brought up the idea of a husband competition, I readily agreed. A friendly game is all, explained Mrs. Jonathan, just to appreciate who we ended up with in this world. I think all of us women wanted this for different reasons. Mrs. Randall wanted to show us, once and for all, how terrible her married life truly was. Bored Mrs. Goober just wanted some solid entertainment. Mrs. Jonathan, generous to a fault, merely wished to bless us with the sight of her chaste, muscular husband in his tighty-whities. And while I sold the idea to Harper as a good sportsmanship sort of thing, the truth was I was only doing this to win. It wasn't like I assumed it would give meaning to what had become a rather vacuous life. It was just that I thought it would be like a cosmic high five, a way for the universe to tell us, way to go, guys, way to fornicate, way to couple. I don't want to do this, Harper repeats now. What really is the point? The point is that you love me, I tell Harper, and he sighs. We watch Randall climb over the short stone fence, grunting, and then drop down the slick stone wall to the snake pit's dirt floor. The snakes are motionless, dead or asleep, I'm not sure. Randall yanks down his pants and whirls around to face us. Suck on this snake, you bimbos, he screams. Worm is more like it, Mrs. Randall mutters. Good grief, Randall, Harper says to no one. He takes up my hand and kisses it. Please, honey, please, let's just go home. Jonathan clambers into the snake pit, too. He's trying to place himself between Randall and our line of sight, because Randall is now jumping up and down, the little wrinkled bald man of his penis bobbing along with him. This makes Jonathan jump up and down, too. They look similarly clownish. It's the most alike these two husbands have ever looked. In the grand scheme of marriage, then, I haven't done so badly. I could pronounce Harper the clear winner right now, and probably everyone would agree. But here comes Goober, inching into the pit too, and if world-famous wimp Goober can do this, then so can Harper. Come on, H, I tell him, you're embarrassing me. Harper stands at the edge of the snake pit and peers into it. It's a long ways down, he says. The snakes uncoil, the jumping arouses them. They begin to hiss and rattle. Go on, I urge, and the sad look on his face tells me he's going to do it. I'm so proud of you. You're my guy. He lifts his legs over the stone fence and then lowers himself slowly into the pit. He stands beside the other husbands, shoulders sagging. Goober puts his fist to his eyes, quietly sobbing. It's a fine day, clear and bright. We wives grip our red letters, preparing to lift them into the sky at any moment. The snakes are everywhere now. Randall has stopped jumping around and has stuffed his Johnson back into his pants. Even he looks nervous. The men inch into a corner and cower there. One of the husbands starts screaming. It's hard to tell who it is at first, as all of them are making weird noises by this point. But then I see Harper's wide open mouth as the snakes start up his legs. Harper, I call out, keep your mouth closed. Poor Harper, Mrs. Randall says, preparing to lift her F. At least Randall didn't scream. Randall's passed out, Mrs. Goober observes, and she's fumbling with her letters, too. The snakes are covering them now. Mrs. Jonathan asks if any of us brought a rope. It is one thing to lower oneself down into a pit, she says. It is another to pull oneself out. Are these snakes poisonous, Mrs. Randall asks, seeing her husband twitch under the baby fangs, and no one knows or answers. Sorry, guys. Okay. This is so phallic, Mrs. Goober marvels. Like everything with these men, am I right? No rope, I tell Mrs. Jonathan. We should have brought a rope. Mrs. Jonathan, frowning, turns back to the pit. Her eyes are watering. She lifts up her red A and waves it around in the air. A, she cries approvingly, an A for all of you, A's all around. There is no response from the snake pit. We all follow Mrs. Jonathan's lead, each holding up our red A. I wave mine furiously in the air as though I can beat away the snakes from where I stand. Someone's arm, Harper's, I hope, lifts from the squirming mass and gives us a thumbs up. Thanks.
All right. Without further ado, once more, the majesty that is Stand Prov.
Before we get started, I just want to recognize the fellow improvisers up here. We have Matt Dargan, Chris Clark, and Ashley Evanson. Please give them a hand. And just to clarify for you guys that we're improvising, which means that we're making everything up on the spot if that wasn't apparent already. So I'll take it away, Tom.
Please give it up for Nick's speech about just making it up on the spot. So, okay. He did it better in rehearsal. It's okay. So before I start, I just want to say, and not to be an applause whore, but can we just get a round of applause for this fantastic event, everything that's happening here. I am amazed. I'm blown away. I'm genuinely flabbergasted by the fact that this group managed to get together authors, published authors and poets, and these talented musicians. And as they were making this group of people, this list of people that were going to be here tonight, somehow somebody thought of my name, and I am borderline illiterate, and I get paid to talk about my poop sometimes. Like, that's what I do, and they thought of me, and I still ended up here. Fascinating to me. Also, could we give a round of applause for what was the name of the band? The Rustics. The Rustics again. God. I need to write this. The Rustics. And what's the name of your lead singer? Patchy? Mackie? Mackie. And what is her home address? Go see them at the Bing on January. Mackie? How would you like to come to my place later and I'll teach you how to lower your expectations? We can do some stuff and then I'll apologize. It'll be great. We'll have a good time. All right. I would like a suggestion from the audience what I should talk about. So, she thinks we got energy. Anybody else that doesn't want me to get arrested? Elevators. Racism, bad. Fruits. Elevators. Elevators make me think of my sister, my little sister, who was terrified of elevators as a child because of an Animaniacs cartoon. I don't know if you guys remember that. Wacko got stuck in an elevator. The rest of her life was ruined. That was what happened to my sister. My sister's amazing. She's going to get married coming up here. I'm not for it. I'm not all about it. I don't really believe in marriage. To me, marriage is a lot like, it's like playing Monopoly in that nobody really wants to do it. But eventually your family pressures you into it over Thanksgiving or something. Like my sister, she met her fiancé on the Greyhound bus. I don't see any reason not to. It's amazing. I get flirted with on the bus sometimes. I travel on the bus when I'm doing shows, and it's immediately a red flag. That's what that is. You shouldn't find the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with on the bus. It's just, and here's the logic. If I had the kind of money that would make me a good life partner or a good boyfriend, I would not be on the bus. That's QED. And, but I had this girl flirt with me on the bus. Like a couple days ago this happened. This girl, she said, I really like you. Where are you going? And I said, I'm on my way to a show. I'm a comedian. And she said, oh my God, you're a comedian? Are you famous? I said, I'm on a bus. She said, well, are you good at it? I said, did you not hear me? I'm on a bus. No, I'm not good at it. It's not. I love the bus. I love the bus because it's just a big moving box full of Keith Richards is all that it is. It's a great big easy bake oven full of bad smells and not like back in the day like sexy Keith Richards, like modern contemporary like drug through the sand on his face Keith Richards is the one that's on the bus. I will never forget this. I was sitting in a bus station on the way to a show, and a guy walked up to me who I'd never seen before in my life, and he had his trucker hat and his beard with the things growing in it, and he had his Avenged Sevenfold t-shirt with the sleeves cut off, and the guy walked right up to me and immediately made eye contact and said, you got to get her back. You got to get her back right now. If you don't do it for you, you do it for me. You got to get her back. Do it now, get her back. I said, get who back? He said, get her back. At which point it started to sink in that I got to get her back, right? The guy leans in over my shoulder, and he says, I won't tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing right now. And he leaned in over my shoulder, and I'll never forget what this guy said to me. He leaned in, and he said, I'm going to up, and I'm going to goddamn son of a bitch. I'm going to goddamn it. I'll do it. I'm like, oh, up, and I will never. Or I'll kill you. At this point, I point out, there's no security on a Greyhound bus. There's none at all. There's no X-ray. There's no beige check. You know what that is? It's Greyhound International looking you dead in the eye and saying, blow it up. No one's going to miss the 36 tweakers and 6 sex criminals you're currently occupying this space with. America will move on. Thank you guys very much. These guys are going to make fun of what I just said.
Are you famous? To me, at least. You look famous. I recognize you. You smell like a toilet. Are you famous?
It was in America's Most Wanted episode.
Oh my gosh, which one? I love that show.
I didn't have a TV in jail. Wish I could tell you.
Very cool, minimalist. I dig it. I like your facial hair. Are those real tears?
No, they're drawings.
Oh, cool.
That's how many times I've cried in my life.
Twice? Tell me about them.
Oh, there's more under the beard.
Very cool. Very cool. So...
Do you ever think about how someone could just stumble into your life and change it forever?
Yep.
Because I feel something right now that I've never felt in my life.
This is your driver speaking. Nobody cares about this bus. We're going to crash, so you better get married soon if that's in your future plans.
Is there a minister on the bus?
Is there a minister on this bus?
Follow the booze.
I'm a minister. I'm going to Mexico.
Very cool. Are you famous?
Jesus thinks so.
Very cool.
We need to get married right now while I'm still feeling this. I'm not sure if I'm talking about the drugs.
Make it good. I want to draw another tear on his face.
Okay. Have you accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
No.
I suggest you do it quickly.
If those are any things like terms and conditions, then yes.
Okay. Basically, you just say I do and make out.
I do.
I do.
Okay, now make out.
So let me go something like that.
No. Hey.
Just do it.
No. Whoa. Did you need to go up? You could go up. You could. I didn't want to be in the way. You could go up if you wanted.
I was just enjoying the show.
Oh yeah.
can just ride this all day.
Okay, writing it makes me nervous.
Oh,
What do you think? Should we go to 2? Let's go to 2.
Let's go to 2. Let's do it.
Oh, face your fears. Okay.
You're so brave.
I know. I don't know. I can't do this. I can't do this. It's like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. Aren't you freaking out right now? Well, you're not freaking. You look really calm and happy. What's going on?
It's on the inside. It's on the inside.
I think we made it. Did we make it? Did we move? Did we make it? We made it, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey guys. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hey, I should just, I should probably.
Does it ever get awkward?
I should get out.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No,
You need out?
well, it's closed now. What am I going to do?
Well, okay. Hey, well, there's my floor. What floor do you guys need?
I'm a kind of an elevator squatter, so.
Squatter.
Yeah.
So you just ride the thing all day. Huh?
Right.
That's interesting.
Right.
I'm facing fears.
You're really sweaty right now.
Yeah.
Guys,
Hey, this is Matt from security. I'm just seeing.
Whoa.
I'm just seeing a
You guys
blinking
hear
light
that
here. Hey, just listen to me for a second. I'm just seeing a blinking light here. Says the winch is it's not working, and yeah, it's gonna be a few minutes before we can get your elevator in transit once again. So if you could just.
I don't want to die with these people.
I don't want to die either. I knew this was going to happen. This always happens. Do you guys know MacGyver? We could get out of here. You've never heard of MacGyver?
I wasn't born until the 80s.
Wasn't MacGyver in the 80s?
That's right.
I was a kid.
Sorry. Very cool. All
Uh,
right.
voice?
This is like insane.
Boys?
We should not be in this elevator right
there.
now.
Okay. Hey there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is there a plan to get us out of here?
Like immediately? Some
Right,
of us are getting
that's what
itchy.
we're doing right now. I've got John. He's looking at the numbers, and Dave is he's tweaking some knobs. I'm not really sure what they do, but that's why I'm the microphone guy. I'm sorry. That's funny to me. Anyway.
Don't worry, guys. This has happened to me so many times, right? All we gotta do.
Well, yeah, you're a squatter.
Yeah, what do we do? How do
This
we
is
get out of
actually how I ended up on this elevator. I used to live in this building, right? But then I got trapped here, and my buddy Mitch.
What was your name?
It's Mac.
Matt. Okay, Matt.
My buddy Mac, he talked me down, and now I know that this is the only safe place in the whole building.
Isn't there like something we can like push on the roof?
Yeah, just like boost each other up and like climb up.
Nose goes.
All right, guys, I got some bad news. It looks like our camera feed and our microphone feed are cutting out a little bit. So if you guys could just not do anything creepy for about 5 minutes while we fix this.
Wait, so there's no camera?
I don't know if you said anything or not because I can't see or hear you.
Okay, I heard that.
Sorry.
So wait, I go up.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
gonna die.
throwing you right up.
I go
I'm gonna
up.
boost you.
Okay. All right.
He's gonna boost you.
What do I have to do with it?
Squatter's rights, dog.
All right, what?
So you gonna hire me or?
It's just, I was looking at your resume and it said, just said nut collection. That was the only thing it said. You have to understand why, collecting,
right.
I appreciate it's a passionate form of hobbyism. It just, I don't feel like it applies to McDonald's core values.
Well, okay, I know that maybe nut collecting doesn't correspond to your
core values.
But let me tell you about my sister because my sister is amazing.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So my
Did not mention
sister,
a sister on the resume.
She helped me start my nut collection, in which I collect nuts.
That's a
for
very,
my nut collection.
That's a circular definition. Okay, I'm looking at it again. Didn't miss anything. Just says nut collection. I'm wondering how you made it this far. So you must have some.
Tom, did your interview start already? I
It's going right now.
I brought hazelnuts and peanuts and
This is just a sampling of my nut collection.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, I guess I'll try one.
They're so good. Once you try one, you won't stop. Like, wait, once you pop, like Pringles, there's jingle.
My sister loves Pringle Jingles.
Once you pop, you just.
That's a nut. Boy, that's a 10. That's a nut.
Yeah.
That is a nut.
Boy.
Do we have a deal?
Ooh, everybody likes deals. You
I
should
watch
take
a lot
my
of The
deal.
Apprentice, my man.
Gonna have to eat one more.
Oh, those are honey roasted with honey.
Okay. Just go back and there's a gonorrhea from the before.
You come again?
You don't mind?
Does your tongue look bigger than its foot?
Hey, you're gonna have to speak up, buddy.
I don't know. I don't know. You look like you're having. Are you gonna die?
He's impersonating the Elephant Man. No, do it, dude. You're doing it. Yeah, this is awesome.
No, you're doing great. You did that too.
I am not an animal. That's really good. Yeah. He wants more nuts?
You want more? Oh, okay. Hazelnut in your
All right, that's our set, guys.
So we neglected to do the intermission we were thinking about doing. So if you guys need to stand up and stretch, we're kind of in the home stretch here, but I don't want anybody to cramp up or anything. So take a second for yourselves. Don't feel weird about it. Anybody? Anybody? Yep. Couple takers. Good. Just a little bit more stretching. So, the last traditional reading we'll have of the night before we give way to the bad poetry finals. Yeah, how's it going, guys? Is it going well? Writers, bad poets, good? Doing well? Our final reader before bad poetry is a man you probably know best as what my grandpa calls that socialist that writes for the Spokesman Review. But you may also know as the guy that wrote that book that is as close as most NPR readers will ever get to meeting a real Mormon. Sean Vestal.
So, I'm adding a word to the bad poetry competition. I have no authority to do this. I'm just doing it. Pulchritudinous. I can't spell it. I don't even know what it means. Pulchritudinous. So. This is kind of blinding. I said I don't know what it means. I wasn't kidding. Okay, I'm reading the first few pages of a work in progress that I'm calling Ambassadors. Forgive me, I'll get this set. Life, Lambert has decided, is a more or less constant battle to be less of a dick. This would be his project, his new leaf, be less of a dick. This thought arrives just as he recognizes that he is more than merely happy that Waymarsh has not made it yet to their meeting here at the Ballard Cafe and Light Brigade. He is thrilled not to see Waymarsh, thick, grumpy Waymarsh, whose loyalties are always narrowed to what he sees as the right place, which Lambert sees as the wrong place, which Waymarsh always finds suspicious. And now Lambert checks his phone and sees that Waymarsh is 7 minutes late, and Lambert wonders whether 7 minutes is enough to declare the meeting missed. He looks around again at this pleasing, interesting place, the rusty industrial tabletops, the worn chairs, the front wall like a glass garage door, raised on this rainless day. The hiss of the giant gleaming Italian coffee machine, the earnest banjo-y music, the barista The barista, mustache waxed in parody of some turn-of-the-century shopkeeper. The weird name like a joke not meant for him, Ballard Coffee and Light Brigade. Every one of these Seattle places seems like a rebuke to the simplicity and the backwardness of who he is and where he's from, his Spokanity. And not even that, really, since he lives now in Davenport, 30 minutes from Spokane and forever from everywhere else. The people passing here on the sidewalks are all dressed like the worst of the dorks from his high school days. Tight pants, low on the hips, snap-button shirts, short in the wrists, big dork glasses, nerd t-shirts, messy hair. Only Lambert recognizes that these things no longer signify dork. What he understands about the world is now upside down, and it has been for a long time. He feels doughy and farmy in his Levi's and plain blue t-shirt and tennis shoes. Now it's 11 minutes and still no Waymarsh, and Lambert gets the urge to declare the meeting missed. He stands and steps over the little fence surrounding the sidewalk chairs and sets off into the somehow satisfying Seattle gloom, pledging to himself that now, after this, he would work on the dick thing. It is his 43rd birthday. For now, though, Seattle, more specifically Ballard. She is somewhere around here, supposedly, with some guy. A bad influence, Newsom had said, and then chuckled. He might have meant a good one. Lambert strolled down the leafy street and looked at the shops and the restaurants, a chocolatier, a punk rock t-shirt and oddities shop, a boutique that sells fancy shit for dogs. Groovy pizza and Thai food and sushi and God knows what all, and Lambert thinks there is not one thing in this place that connects in any way to the place he is from, with its one gas station, its 40-year-old grocery, its drive-through hamburger place, and its sit-down hamburger place. It's one kind of coffee. It's like he has crossed an ocean. Lambert made the 4-hour drive last night, a high ticking gasp in the motor of his old Scout that had made the last 100 miles tense. The old Scout shut itself off in unforeseen ways all the time, though he stuck with it for reasons that traced back to his growing up and to the men who drove Scouts when he was growing up, compared to the cars that he and his family had driven, cheap sedans with bald tires, Bolares and Darts and Valiants, always stuck somewhere after the first snow. Lambert had a task here, a heavy lift. Things had gotten pretty easy lately now that they had smoothed out the machinery of the thing, now that they had pushed away almost all of the risk, timed everything neatly, transformed into a wholesale operation with just a couple of tricky drives every month, one meth haul, one supply haul, and one fence haul, and then nothing but distance and deniability. At first, this current task had seemed like it might be easy, almost a vacation. Shoot over to Seattle, pass a nice few days out of the heat, eat well, buy some hipster shit to squire around Davenport in, and find Chaz. Find Chaz. Find Chaz, and then what? Bring her back here, Newsom had said. What if she doesn't want to come? Bring her back anyway. How? Jesus, Delano Roosevelt, Lamberger, bring her back. Lambert puzzled this over. Newsom preferred never to say what he wanted done. This was the basis of their fruitful relationship. Lambert could divine just what Newsom wanted without entangling Newsom with any actual knowledge of the doing. But Newsom had been changing lately. He'd been willing to do things that he had not used to do. You're not saying what I think you're saying, are you? Lambert had asked. Newsom laughed. His laughs were wet, grotesque songs of sarcasm. Who could possibly know what you think, he said. Newsom put the footrest on his massive leather recliner up and leaned back. He spent most of his days here failing to shave and inching toward diabetes or cirrhosis or COPD. Just bring her back here and don't do anything to hurt her, he said. And what if she won't come? Will you stop asking me that? Lambert keeps walking through Ballard, feeling free now of Waymarsh, though only for a moment. It is gray and cool, so pleasant after the scorching August days back home, back on the dusty farm, inside the hay lab. Sea smell fills the air, salt and fish, and from somewhere unseen but near, he hears the dense honk of ships. He steps into an incense-scented bookstore and leaves again after seeing only titles about naturopathy and crystal healing. Walks past a sustainable toy shop, a pho place, a bar called Bar. There is a persistent newness at every turn, in every detail a different world, and the effect of this difference is the continual addition of small delights, of foods he wants to taste and people he wants to know and places he wants to explore, a realm to be observed and sensed as much as known. His phone buzzes against his thigh. "Where are you?" reads the message from Waymarsh. It is 17 minutes after the hour. Lambert stands in the middle of the sidewalk and types his response with one finger. "You were late. Get your ass back here." Lambert asks himself, how would a person who is being less of a dick answer? He types, "What? Can't hear you," and pockets the phone. More coffee, he thinks. Why not? And then maybe a stroll over to the locks to look at the ships. Lambert stops in the next spot under a wordless sign that is just a wood-grained image of a coffee bean in cross-section, opening onto a dark cafe with a bar and 2 tables and a glass case with gluten-free pastries and a giant gleaming Italian machine hissing. The barista has a shaved head, a wide prickly fan of pioneer beard, a waxed and pointed mustache, arms sleeved snakily in tattoos, and 2 black discs, like checkers pieces, inserted into his ears where the earrings should go. Lambert stares. "Dude," he says finally, and then he remembers. Less of a dick, and orders his coffee. Thank you.
All right. It's bad poetry time.
The really great thing about bad poetry is that we really don't have to take responsibility for any of this. First, it's sinking on its own. Is that supposed to happen? Nice. I've been watching a lot of The Walking Dead, so what I'm really thinking is how many of you I can take out before making my exit. The awful thing about this is that if you go out that, you come out there. So I'm dead either way. Our first bad poetry contestant is going to be Catherine Smith. Catherine Smith to the stage, please. Our judges have criteria. None of us know what they are. They might not know what they are, but they have them.
This is called Sasquatch Radio. If a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? If a Sasquatch runs in the forest and no one's there to believe in him, no one hears him. No one knows if he's really there. He makes his own radio, gives the ferret his own show. He makes his own circus broadcast live to the outer reaches where all the silent trees make sounds. Single tree falling, a solo performer, pulchritudinous. So much static, no station for miles. Sasquatch's mind wanders the wilderness, his soul like a radio without dials, like jello, his mind empty as the Tin Man's rib cage, no heart. Does Sasquatch have a belly button? Has he ever tried jello? Can we even know if he has a belly button? Does he have a mother? More important, who's your daddy? Thank you.
The reason I don't do bad poetry is because my friends would destroy me at it. I've hosted bad poetry at my house, I don't know, half a dozen times, a dozen times. I've never come close to placing. It's embarrassing. Yeah, cats won a lot. Our second bad poetry contestant, Joseph Hager.
Damn it. Rapture, we hardly knew ya. Rapture, I thought what we had was special. Like a traveling circus, you promised to win that oh so large stuffed ferret for me. You wrapped around me, showing me the sexy 666 slapped around your belly button. I pulled you close, tickling your rib cage just the way you liked. Or the way you said you liked. Or that you lied about liking. Then the righteous dripped to jello and rose away happily bellowing hymns. And your business was done. Your business was done. And my heart was done. I know now I wasn't the only one you toyed with. Like a Jedi to a Sith. There were more, and I'll never trust to know the number of doors you went through. That damn rapture, we hardly knew ya.
Jeff Dodd is already making his way to the stage. Jeffrey Glenn Dodd.
It's like a strange glass-bottom boat effect up here. Cleveland steamer or something. So the title I picked was called The Parking Attendant's Daughter. And this is a read-in title. The parking attendant's daughter has a bad case of poop finger. Her son, the pulchritudinous Abraham Edwin, has eaten far, far too much Jell-O. As if this night's trip to the circus were not enough. As if the ferret on the wheel were not a life complete. His diaper cannot contain all he has consumed, and the remnant, as remnants will, pressed back up his body, past his belly button, and the mucilage covered the fine hairs of his skin. Like the bleeding pig the parking attendant killed with his father in his 14th summer, the older man leaned over his rifle stock and yelling out, "Put your legs around the rib cage and slice her throat clean through." And the parking attendant, his daughter, 30 now, with a son who can't control himself or his interest in sausage, sits quietly in the corner, staring over at his grandson covered in a thin slime, mutters to the unwiped walls, the unswept overpass, clearly, it's his ham now.
Kelly Crawford.
Okay, the Sharknado of love. Like biting mouthfuls of cotton candy, a saccharine sweetness on my lips, your rough hands on my hips, whispers, "You're making me randy." A battle inside my rib cage, my heart pounding, delirious. Like a ferret fighting a snake, victorious. Our bodies sharing an erotic rage. Warm fingers trace my belly button, my bosom heaving like Jell-O. My yonic opening, beckoning, hello. Breathy moaning, ugh, I hella love you, ugh, a ton. Our voices sending heat above, but we can't stop like sci-fi with their movies. And in this nookie circus, you'll win all the goodies. Because this is a Sharknado of love. Thank you.
I don't know if you could tell, but all of that was bad. It really is hard to tell sometimes. One time at Bad Poetry, Jeff wrote a poem called The Dump Truck of Love. That poem has since been published. Our judges now have a very difficult decision before them, and I suspect they're not moving at all. It's all happening. It's all happened. Has it happened? They're done? Are you done? I had an interlude. Okay. They are humoring me. Country song poem. There's a lonesome teardrop hanging from the corner of your eye. Better pull down that old cowboy hat so the moon don't see you cry. Somewhere east of Amarillo, a woman who hasn't slept for years bought a pillow. Guitar solo. There, but for the grace of go I, scraping my fingers against the sky, plucking out a star or two, one for me, a pretty song for you. I don't even know. Yeah, that's really it. Clearly it's his ham now. Are we ready? I have a thumbs up from the judges. Judges, please bring the prize vault. What? I can't see a thing from up here. Oh, right. I'm not sure if the judges are done yet or ready to bring up the prize vault. Caw-caw! The prize vault is on its way. It's all part of the act. In fourth place, receiving nothing. I've consulted with our judges, and in fourth place, winning nothing except our love, Joe Hager. In third place, winning this handsome devil. It's a bird made of bird feathers. Kelly Crawford. Sharknado of love.
No, please, let me.
A controversial decision. In second place, winning this handsome squirrel, Cat Smith.
This will adorn the walls of the Cleveland Steamer. So
James Brown style.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That has been Bad Poetry.
Because we're at the end and because there's no way to follow that, I'll just give it back to Keely, except to say thank you so much, guys.
Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's hear it for our host of the evening, Luke. I just want to say thank you again to every single person who came up on the stage, every single one of you. This has been amazing, so thank you.